Hey everybody, welcome back to The Best Thing Ever, a podcast about the stuff your friends like. Each week, we nominate a topic, give a research project on that topic, and then rank it on the master list of best things ever. This is episode 16, and we are talking this week about advice columns, and we have a great presentation for you, including such things as two very powerful twins, the dog of death, and passive-aggressive note writing in my parking lot. Let me introduce you to the panel today, because it's a little different than usual. Anthony and Hunter are both out this week, but I'm here, and I'm going to introduce myself and my co-host in a game that I call One Host and a Lie, I guess, this week. So either Ezra and I's fact is going to be a lie, and then the guest facts will be true. I'm your host. I'm a comedian. I'm Alex Falcone, and I have appeared on 2 Jumbotrons. That is my fun fact. Could be true, could be false. We'll find out at the end. What is Tron short for? Jumbo, like, what's the Tron part of Jumbotron?
Electronic.
Oh, okay. It is a jumbo. We're just taking the middle of that word. Just like
Jumbo Electron.
This is the biggest electron, y'all.
It's so big. So my co-host is Ezra Fox. He's our marketing associate, and he brushes his teeth at least 6 times a day. It's a fact about Ezra.
Yeah,
one of those 2 facts is true. One is a lie.
You drink a lot of coffee, you brush a lot of teeth. That's what I say.
It's a good motto.
It's an old the prospectors used to say that.
Quick question: does
please.
the number of teeth change throughout the day?
Yes,
There's slightly less each time.
Well, sometimes like lower back left doesn't always get it. That's just how it is.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't want the 230 brushing.
That's why they get rid of your wisdom teeth, is because they don't want to have to clean them, I think. This is what I've learned. Dentists just want you to have fewer teeth so they have it faster in and out.
Yeah, it was the wrist fatigue.
Dentists.
I know, yeah. All right,
More
so
like
we have a special
sneaky
guest.
teeth.
That voice.
Sneaky teeth.
Our co-host guest today, you may remember from many appearances on Read It and Weep, an expert podcast guest. You can find her on at Amandable on Twitter if you still like that platform. It's Amanda Leinbaugh. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, it's great to be here. I'm so excited to be on the new show.
Here's a fun fact about you that is true, which is despite having lived near the ocean your entire life, you just learned how to swim last year, or this year.
This year, yeah.
What is it like taking adult swim lessons?
Well, I actually took 2 sets of swim lessons. That's how bad I was at learning how to swim.
Okay, but did just a really large lifeguard throw you in the pool and then tell you you're doing great?
I wish. That would have been great if, like, Jason Momoa had just been there to pluck me into the deep end. That would have been a much better experience.
Yeah, we got Aquaman for this.
Aquaman swimming lessons, for sure.
Instead, I had very nice teenagers who normally teach toddlers being like, oh, you're doing such a good job.
Yeah.
Which honestly also felt good. So,
Amanda, do your scoops. Do your scoops and kicks, Amanda.
I mean, having a teenager tell you you're doing a good job is pretty rewarding.
It honestly was. Like, now I realize I need that in my daily life. Just a 17-year-old telling me I'm doing great.
Well, that's
Trying really
awesome.
hard.
But yeah.
Congratulations on being able to swim now.
Yeah, barely, but I did it.
It's so exciting to have you back. We also have a returning guest from the old show. His name is Myq Kaplan, spelled nothing how you'd expect. You can find him MyqKaplan.com, at Myq Kaplan on all the social platforms. And his newest release, I guess, is the Live from the Universe Dry Bar special that came out very recently, which you can find on Dry Bar Plus. Welcome back, Myq Kaplan.
Thank you so much for having me. I have things to say after you share your fun fact about me, but congratulations on learning to swim, or not, if that one is a lie. I don't know.
No, so the Amanda being a guest gets only true facts. Ez and I's, one of those is a lie. The other one is true.
Then I can reveal now. I didn't want to ruin the game, but I wish I had shared my fun fact that it would have been also, I guess, would have been better if, like, is this true or not?
Right.
I have not yet learned to ride a bike.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I could change it to that one really quick on the Figma. No one would be upset.
Well, now people know, but I use whichever one you picked.
I love
it's
that.
Your choice.
I love that. So, are you tempted to have a teenager tell you you're doing a great job on a bike?
My girlfriend is not a teenager. She just turned 40.
Great news.
And she is interested in teaching me how to ride a bike. And I am interested in teaching her how to drive a car. So for now, we're in this egalitarian,
I love that.
situation.
You
gotta find
just transport class.
Well, so you have to find someone to teach you how to do a unicycle, and then I guess like if there's like a three-wheeled thing as well, like a tricycle, I guess. Yeah.
I do know how to ride a tricycle.
I feel
Okay,
like
well, then no
everyone
one
knows
knows
this. Yeah, you're born knowing how to do a tricycle.
So you have to find a unicycler who does not know how to ride a tricycle and do that exchange then.
Oh,
So
yes.
of the
one to
numbers
three.
of cycles, uni is the hardest one to ride. It gets easier with
hold
two,
on.
but it's still hard. Wait,
A zeroth cycle, I think, is very hard. That is just a stick. That's a pogo stick, man.
Until somebody invents a zeroth cycle, I think we're not even there yet. But so 1 is hard, 2 is easier, 3 is easier. Does it continue to get easier? If you do 12 wheels, that's harder than 4, right?
If you line them up right, it's pretty easy. If they're going all in different directions, that sounds
Well, but so a fifth wheel is like an RV. That's way harder to drive than a car.
And no one wants to be a third wheel or a fifth wheel, depending if it's like two couples dating.
I have always been bothered by this. Which is the correct number, Mike, of the wheel for that saying? Which should be... Because when people say third wheel, that makes it more stable and better.
I'm glad that you asked me this question because I have a lot of thoughts about it.
You brought it up like you maybe thought about it before.
It's right in the sweet spot of I've thought about it not super actively, but you have really catalyzed, all of the neural networks within me that are like, ooh, because I did study linguistics in school, and my girlfriend and I have been moving out of our apartment, so I've been revisiting, what do we keep, what do we store, what do we pack, what do we, throw out, and I found some old a paper from a semantics class, a linguistics class that was called semantics, and the paper was all about the definition of a chair. There was many pages about how to define a chair. It's not so simple to define a chair if you think about what definition. You're obviously 4 legs and a back. Well, that's a dog also. But what?
Which you can also ride. You can sit on.
Yeah.
Is the chair-shaped animal?
Is a dog a chair? I think most people, not on a comedy podcast,
it's a human sit-dog world, Mike. That's what everyone's saying.
A camel, though, we would agree, is a chair. Right?
So the point is, this paper was called Chair and Chair Alike. And
oh, God, it's so bad good.
I feel I am equipped. And that's, of course, from before I was a comedian, so it's even better that I thought it then. Yes. But if I thought it now, oh my goodness, it would be just pretty good. But so to say which is the right expression, I think the answer is that there is no one right expression. If people say third wheel naturally, then for them it's third wheel. If people say fifth wheel naturally, then for them it's fifth wheel. To me, third wheel sound I bet if we did a search, like a Google search, say, and this isn't, science necessarily, it's a little bit science, I bet there'd be more instances of, quote, third wheel than, quote, fifth wheel. That's my guess.
That's a great guess. According to Grammarist.com, the correct answer is fifth wheel. A fifth wheel is an unnecessary part of a group. A third wheel is a misrepresentation of that.
And so this is where I would say that here's the thing about the difference between grammar and linguistics is that grammar is often prescriptive and linguistics is descriptive. Not about determining what people should say, but describing what people actually do say. And just, I guess, in my life, I say and hear third wheel more often than fifth wheel. I think so, too.
And I do think a third wheel adds stability. And look, this sounds like I'm making an argument to my wife for a throuple, but I do think third wheels are easiest wheels to ride. The tricycle is the one none of us needed to learn. Cars take a while, bikes take a while, unicycles, you probably shouldn't even bother. Tricycles, out of the gate, you just sit down, you can do it.
But good point that, the unicycle is potentially the hardest of the wheeled things. Pogo stick, yeah. I mean, I think to not exist at all might be easy. I'm not sure. I haven't done it for a while. But to exist by yourself as a one-wheel, like, no relationship situation, or a one-wheel, unicycle riding, that for many people is the most difficult. So you add one wheel to that, and you're like, all right, we got two. That's a little easier than one. And then not everyone makes it all the way to thruple, but, it adds, mo wheels, mo problems at some point.
That's what I say.
That's what we always say. I just figured out a zero wheel is actually a horse. Okay, let's go on, though. This was not the shows that I was intended to make. I'm glad to have made it. I'm glad to have both of you here.
Thank you for having me, is what I meant, yes.
This is very exciting, but we have so much to talk about. So let's move on. This topic this week is advice columns. Myq, I asked you, what is the best thing ever? And you answered, as far as I can tell, quite quickly, that it is advice columns, in fact, are the best thing ever. We even talked to you about advice columns a little bit. We talked about Savage Love, the podcast back in the day.
Yes.
So I'm going to start by getting your core memory of advice columns. So let's set the scene for me. Do you have a first memory of advice columns or a most powerful early memory of them?
Thank you for asking. The answer is, I would say, in general, yes. In specific, I can't tell you like the day or the exact age that I was, but surely it was a single-digit age. And I remember growing up in New Jersey, my family would get the Star Ledger. That was like the local paper of our area. And I would love reading the section with the comics, the comic strips. And such, and I think it was either on the same page or like on the flip side, or at some point, if it was on a different part of the paper, I would seek it out. But I feel like Ann Landers / Dear Abby were there, and so I read, and they were easy. They were simple for a child to read, and it was like I feel like it is a good like baby's first advice column. It was like like the Johnny Carson Tonight Show or the Jay Leno Tonight Show, perhaps, of advice columns. It was like, oh, look, it seems like everyone's enjoying it. It seems like it's the only game in town. It's the only channel there is. I don't know how many other advice columns there were at the time, Miss Manners perhaps, or other things. But now it's like the same way that there's many late night shows and YouTube channels, and it's not just not everyone's taking in the same media and culture like one was or like one imagined everyone was when I was a child. But yeah, it was definitely Dear Abby, Ann Landers. I still do get Dear Abby, or recently, I re-get Dear Abby delivered to my inbox every day.
Nice.
And it's almost purely for nostalgia because it is no longer I don't think it is the GOAT of advice columns, greatest of advice time, obviously.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm very grateful. Without Dear Abby and Ann Landers, I'm sure like the advice column game wouldn't be what it is today. The same that linguistics wouldn't be without Chomsky, or even psychology wouldn't be without Freud. They were
right.
first, like. Edison's light bulb is not as impressive as the dimmer switch that's in the very room I'm in right now, or Tesla's even. I bet, we're all standing on the shoulders of giants, and so I'm grateful for the giant of advice, Dear Abby or Ann Landers, I think maybe both, that were my initial core, I ran out.
It was so good if you had just brought it in for a landing. If you could have just landed that flight.
Hey, I have a question. Can anyone give me advice on how I should have ended that?
Well, possibly. Amanda, do you have an earliest memory of advice columns? You mentioned you like them as well. You were not in control of the topic this week, but you said you were a fan.
I am actually a huge fan of advice columns.
Nice.
And much like Myq, when I was little, I would read them in the newspaper because it feels like a very adult thing to do. Like, yes, I have read the comics and now I shall be a grown-up.
and
I
find
will
out
learn
how many
things about
napkins
how to
at this
grown up.
party. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, yes, this is how grown-ups deal with things. Yes, I am learning how to do this, and I always loved Dear Abby was my favorite because she was a little snarkier.
Yeah, I think the traditional is a little sassy, and I think that comes from the Dear Abby world. which I enjoy very much.
And I still just love all of them. Captain Awkward and Daniel Lavery have been my favorites of recent years.
May I offer, can I ask, have you ever read Social Cues in the New York Times?
I have not, no.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I think it's Philip Galan or Ghislaine, and it is, I discovered it only recently. It's been going on for some years, I think, but every Wednesday, I while you were talking, I was like, ooh, it's Wednesday. I got excited. There's a new Social Cues today. It's just, I feel like, the best combination of, like, funny and caring and and sort of really has a handle on like the social landscape, and so like, when somebody is the villain and doesn't know it, then they are rightfully know that. Like, that's one of my favorite. So I'm sorry to interrupt your
No, that's
your
great.
segment,
I love that.
But yeah,
that's
Social
that's one of the best advice column moments, when it's just like, no, you're the bad guy, letter. Like, everything is wrong with you.
So this is not quite advice then, but I do enjoy AITA, the Reddit world, Am I the Asshole? Which is like, if you're going to send something to Dear Abby, but you're worried she'll say you're the asshole, you run it by Reddit first to find out which side you're on, which is a very fun game.
Yeah, I think that at least, it's like a pre-advice. I mean, it's something that's part of like the greater advice cinematic universe. You know?
Exactly.
Like it's a good spin-off, because the lack of awareness that some I mean, to know that you need advice is a good step. To be like, I would like someone to help me with this. Though every once in a while it's, I would like someone to tell me that I'm right and everyone else should do something different.
Right. Yeah. Do you have any of you ever actually solicited column advice?
I don't think I have. I have a couple friends who have submitted questions to Dan Savage's podcast, which I love. And got on the show. I have every once in a while sent in, like, sometimes he coins neologisms for things, and I like coining neologisms as well.
We couldn't tell.
I enjoy a neologism or a neophrasism. That's a neologism that I coined. And as such, I've offered some of those, but yeah, it's funny, because I think one of the reasons, like, when you asked me to share, a fun fact or a medium fun fact to share on the show, I didn't think of, I don't know how to ride a bike until Amanda shared her just learning how to swim.
Right.
Because I think in part, I veer more towards, having been raised, and socialized a male, a straight, white, cisgender, able-bodied, Jewish. I have a spice, but in many ways,
a little bit of dill. Yeah,
I love dill.
Three capers.
What's the dill? And I'm so sorry, but I think I tend to veer. I'm like, what's a fun fact about myself? What's something that I have accomplished? What's something that, I'm like, ooh, should I tell them that I've read every Savage Dragon comic since 1992 up until very recently? No. That one, I actually haven't read the most recent one.
Wait,
So that
is there a
wouldn't be fair.
crossover with Savage Love and Savage Dragon? Because that'd be amazing. Savage Love Dragon?
I knew.
I think maybe don't Google Savage Love Dragon.
I'm gonna see what happens, Amanda.
I hate that. Oh, man.
Do ask an AI to create art of a Savage Love Dragon.
Oof.
But this is all to say, like, my family was very, like, supportive and encouraging in a way that I think was very helpful, to get me, like, say, to start doing comedy. I'm like, yeah, I have a lot of things to say. A 24-year-old young man who hasn't had a lot of struggle at all. Yeah. And, like, I had the delusional self-confidence that eventually led me to audiences that were like, why do you have this delusional self-confidence? I'm like, ooh, I need to learn some more things. But even now, even though I know, I'm bringing a show to the Edinburgh Fringe Fest this year called Imperfect, about the growth that I've experienced. But I know that I I know that I was smaller. I know that I was dumber. I know that I wasn't as good. But in any moment, I'm like, well, I'm the best version of myself that I've ever been. So I'm like, but that's right. I don't yet know how to ride a bike. I do still say yet, even though, I mean, there's no guarantee that I ever will. But I forget the beginning of this.
Wow, you really are all about the takeoff and the mid-flight. That's your favorite part of
That's
flying.
enough. That's enough for most situations.
That's 2/3 of pilot
I will
school.
say, I would not say that I'm a huge advice column fan, and I do not have the most experience with it. But I guess I am the only one who has advice columned from the writer's side, from the question asker side. When I was 16, I had just seen Rounders, and I had become obsessed with being a poker hustler. And one of the things, I was living in Reno at the time, which is full of casinos. And one of the things about casinos is they have poker rooms with free magazines out front. And so I would walk and get the poker magazine each week, the new issue, for free from in front of the poker room. And when you stand in front of the poker room, even looking as much like a child as one could look, the dealer will be like, hey, come on in and play, because they need suckers all the time. And so every time I would grab this magazine each week, when I'd go grab the new issue of the magazine, the dealers would be like, come on, come play. And I would be like, I would demur. And so finally, there was a advice column in the poker magazine, and it was called like Dear Floppy or something stupid like that. But I was like, I wrote into Dear Floppy, and I was like, hey, they don't seem to care that I'm not old enough. Should I go gamble at 16? And then the adult person writing this column very wisely said, no, you should not. It is illegal. And then I, being a 16-year-old, was like, I knew you'd say that. I had some sassy response to his response that he then became very patient and fatherly, and wrote some really very interesting thoughts to me, and I quite liked it. We had sort of an email friendship for a little while after that, and he just put the short, snappy version in the column, which I still have in a box somewhere, I think. But yeah, we did have sort of an email friendship after that, and he got me more into writing because he was enjoying the emails from me. It was like, this is not illegal, keep writing.
That's
really sweet.
That's really beautiful for two reasons. Number one, for its own sake. Thank you for sharing that beautiful story of your childhood. And the second reason is that it reminded me of, here's how I'll land the plane from earlier.
Please
This is a new plane. I don't think you get credit for that.
No. This is still, it's been plummeting. The engines have been off. Everyone has made their peace with their God, but right now, I'm like, this is your captain speaking. This is Myq Kaplan speaking, and I am here to let you know we actually found a little bit more engine fuel thing. I'm not an actual pilot.
I'm so skeptical about this, Myq. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, it's very rickety, but we're gonna look. There's an airfield, and there's foam that they've put down, and they're ready for a crash and explosions. And there might very well be, but I think at least I'm going to survive this. And I hope that you will as well. So the point is, I was bringing up my upbringing and how I was very, centered on myself, as I still am right now. But the point, and so that I didn't think of that my flaw or foible of my lack of knowledge of how to ride a bike, all of this is in part to answer the question of why I have never written for advice. So the answer to your question, has anyone here written to an advice column, is no. Final answer.
And we bounce off the foam. We skid to a safe stop. All the people who were like, we're going to die anyway, let's go have sex in the bathroom, are now awkwardly going back to their families. And what a great day we have all had. Let's go on to our next thing that I want to do. So Anthony normally writes these great long deep dives. I'm going to give you a very, very short history of advice columns myself. And this is going to be, Ezra suggested this last time when I did a history of The Sun. I'm just going to put it on the same timeline. So this is the timeline I wrote from The Sun. I've added some advice column specific moments. So here is a very brief history of advice columns. All right, as you all remember, 4.6 billion years ago, the solar system starts out as a cloud of gas and dust. About 500 million years after that, the hot center becomes a pancake that becomes the sun. All right, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. 1691, the Athenian Mercury becomes the first advice column that anybody has found historically. It is published in London. It is a one of the earliest periodicals. It's bi-weekly. And they do the classic question and answer format. And it's made up of a society of experts, they call it, which is including the publisher, a mathematician, a physician, a poet, and then 7 fake personas written by those same 4 people. So they were like, we're a panel of experts, but then like 2/3 of the experts were just the first third using other titles.
That sounds right.
Well, I mean, one of the things about advice columns is that that I learned from this is that from Jump Street, using fake names. People don't like to use their real names when they are doing advice.
Well, it makes sense, right? It's like there's no one's looking to find Dear Abby to congratulate them on good advice, but they absolutely will try to track you down if it's bad advice. So I don't want that attached to me. I mean,
my favorite part of any advice columnist Wikipedia page is the controversy section, obviously.
Additionally, I would say if you are using your real name and you give advice, then people could easily be like, why are you not living by that advice in your
that's true.
life? Yeah.
That's true. We don't know what kind of a life Dear Abby was living because she was not a real person. That's interesting.
Yes.
The Athenian Mercury, so it starts out, they're just like, hey, at the bottom of it was like, hey, just like leave a question that you have at this print shop and we will answer it in the next magazine. And it took off. It took off almost right away. People were like the first issue, very, very light. Second issue, hundreds of questions come in. And it ran for 7 years on this format and was widely copied and stolen from. The creator of the Athenian Mercury was John Dutton, who's also a writer. He published the magazine. He published a bunch of books, and was famously public about his lack of introspection. So he wrote such works about how much he loves, like about his private life, like Reflections on Mr. Dutton's leaving his wife in a letter to himself. That was a book he published about his private life of leaving his wife. And then he also wrote a book on how important privacy was to him called The Art of Living Incognito. So real charmer, John Dutton. A sample question from this is, my father had a dog, which he kept a great many years, in which time I had 2 brothers and 1 sister that died. It was observed that this dog, always the day before they died, went about 100 yards from the house and laid his nose towards the church where they were all buried and howled in a strange, hideous manner for an hour or more at a time. When my father died, he did the same thing. Now it seems as if this dog is prophetic, or what to call it. Please, knowledge on this matters. And the answer, great question, excellent question.
Yes.
A lot of these Q&As from the Athenian Mercury veered a little scientific or philosophical. The answer that the Athenian Mercury provided was, we can't tell you what to make of hundreds of such instances as these, some of which we ourselves are assured are true. All we can say is that there must be something in it not natural, since what power in nature has a dog more than any other creature to foresee, or rather, foresmell such accidents? Which is excellent. Foresmell is a brilliant neologism, and I enjoy this answer very much. Ez, you look skeptical.
I don't even. There's so much to unpack here. I don't like. This is what we did before, like, grief counseling, where it's like, yo, I cannot get over the deaths of my family members. Fine. This dog, though, man, what's up with that, right?
It's always howling, man. What a weird dog. My dog sees dead people.
And the answer is just like, dogs be howling, you know? That happens.
Yeah, they're like, look, we didn't investigate this dog, but we believe it.
A dog that can foresmell death seems very like Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, but like scarier. It's almost like a Goosebumps book, where like say cheese and die, but with a dog. Maybe there's a combination there. So that's the Athenian Mercury, first ever advice column.
Sorry. Chronicle of a Death Foresmelled.
Okay, go ahead. So that's 1690s.
Beautiful.
Yeah. 1690s, first ever advice column. Let's cut to the next most important advice column. Ann Landers started in 1955. We're skipping some years again. As you guys know, it seems like most of you know more about Ann Landers and Dear Abby than I did. This is mostly news to me, so perhaps at home if you don't know all of this. So Ruth Crowley, a nurse from Chicago, she'd been writing a column about childcare in the newspaper when she took on the advice column in 1955. Picked her pen name at random, Ann Landers, based on nothing. At one time, she grew to have a circulation of over 90 million newspapers ran her column. That is... or 90 million copies of newspapers running her column.
Okay.
Crazy. Huge numbers. Yeah. She possibly coined the neo-phrasisms time heals all, or time wounds all heals. Sorry, the flip of time heals all wounds.
that's
She said it
good.
the other way. And wake up and smell the coffee might have been hers. These are both things I say might because her website claims she invented them, and I can find no other sources for that besides her people. So I'm not convinced.
But no one else is claiming to do, right? Like no one else is claiming these.
I think Wake Up and there are other stories for Wake Up and Smell the Coffee, I believe. Time Wounds All Heals, I think might be hers. I believe that one.
Also, on the 90 million
Yeah.
circulation, that's like, I think at the time, probably half the population.
Right. It's an incredible number. It's easy to forget how popular things were when there were fewer options.
Oh, yeah. That's Super Bowl numbers. You know?
Yeah. Super Bowl numbers for questions about marital mix-ups and such. For an example, here's Mrs. Landers' first ever question. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this one before. The first ever question to Ann Landers was, Dear Mrs. Landers, I've always regarded most marital mix-ups as very humorous, until now, that is, when the noose is tightening around my neck, which is a great start. Other people's problems are so funny, but now I'm having trouble, and I hate it. This man continues, we have been married for 10 years and have 2 sons. I like auto racing, but my wife has no interest in it, so I've always gone without her. I've fallen for a woman with 3 children who is also very fond of auto racing. Her husband is ignorant and impossible. This may sound corny, but I think she would be a wonderful companion for me. I suppose you think I'm a louse, but I am stumped. I would like to have your advice on this problem. Mr. K. So
Third wheel.
Totally an option. I mean, I think there's at least 7 wheels total here. But this is the first ever column where she rolls out her response, time wounds all heals, and you'll get yours. As gasp.
Well, no, Ruth Crawley was the first Ann Landers. She picked on a friend's name, but she was dead in 1955, man. I think the Ann Landers you're talking about is Epi Lederer.
I am going from the Ann Landers website, and I guess I'm missing something?
So there was an Ann Landers basically. So Ruth Crawley started writing based on her friend's pen name in like 1943, but by 1955, that Ann Landers was dead, and Epi Lederer kept on writing and like was the one who was like the
Epi
Ann
Lederer
Landers.
took over in 55?
55, yeah. And that was the one which reached the 90 million,
man.
and was the identical twin sister of Dear Abby.
Yeah, would you let me get to stuff in order?
Well, look, I don't want. This is Ruth Crawley's, like, is not Ruth Crawley's, like, stolen valor here, I guess is what I'm trying to get
So
to.
Ruth Crawley was the first one. Epi is the one I'm talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Ruth Crawley should have lived longer if she wanted to be the other one. But maybe that's a little harsh. I don't know.
Maybe
She'd
she
probably
should have
do
been a
best.
triplet if she wanted to. Yeah.
It's too
Maybe she
confusing.
should have been a third wheel of the embryo.
All right. So anyway, Ann Landers answers that question. Do you realize there are 5 children involved in your little racetrack romance? Don't be surprised if you wake up one of these days and wish you had your wife and sons back. You are flirting with a muddy track on Black Friday, and the way you're headed, you'll get exactly what you deserve, which is so threatening. I think
That's not
she'll
advice.
kill him. Wild. Okay, so then the second most important, or the other most important, is Dear Abby.
If
Yes.
I may briefly,
Please.
like, I feel like that she didn't give it. I mean, she implied don't do it, but also I feel like wisdom that sort of arises from every good advice column, every good advice columnist is that, like, people in ways are just writing in to hear what they want to hear. Like, if you tell someone don't do it, but they're like, like you, Alex, were open when you received the advice of, don't get played for a sucker and do an
Right.
illegal thing.
Right.
Like, that actually sounds like good advice. You were open to it, but this guy was like, isn't love the most important thing? And this lady's like, yeah, your children deserve the love of their father and the regard thereof. But yeah, so often, so I feel like it's both not advice that she's given, but it's also not good faith advice that was sought.
What I love about that question, is just like, but look, I really like auto racing.
Yep.
Like, that's the key. The key to the love here is just, I love auto racing. We have cars to talk about. I just like this lady who we can talk about cars. Is that enough to leave my family? And then she says
I feel
wisely,
like-
I think you'll regret this.
This tells us that men have not changed since then.
Since 55? No, I would say probably not. They still like cars.
Change the old-timey wording around, and this would absolutely be an advice column today. Like, oh, you know, my wife doesn't support my
she doesn't enjoy
cryptocurrency.
Right. She does not enjoy Netflix's Drive to Survive about auto racing. And I have this friend who also likes that show.
Mm-hmm. Also, I just realized, I'm so sorry, at the racetrack, there's so many more than 3 or 7 wheels. There's,
I think 4 per, but yeah.
4 per car, yeah.
Well, they change them out, though, also, right?
Oh,
so, yeah, plus backups,
You want a 5th wheel. That's
at minimum.
You just wanted to switch those wheels really fast. Okay, so the other very famous advice column you may have heard of, Dear Abby, started a year later in 1956 by Pauline Esther Popo Phillips, an aspiring journalist. And her story is really fun, where she just called the San Francisco Chronicle editor and said, your current advice column is no bueno. I don't like it. I could do better. And he liked her moxie, so he was like, here are some letters we got today. Give me your thoughts. 90 minutes later, she comes back with her answers, and they were like, those are very good, and gives her that job.
Can you imagine being the person who got fired for that?
I mean,
really, someone just came in here and took my job.
That's so brutal, but it's sort of like when you're in a tournament sports thing. I think you want to lose to the person who ends up being the GOAT later, and she was that. You're like,
That's
well, look,
fair.
I can't compete with Dear Abby. Like, what a freak accident that I happen to have the column that was later topped out at a circulation of 110 million.
Oh, I wonder if that was a point of contention.
Great news. So if you like contention, so the crazy thing that I did not know that apparently everybody else already knew is that Dear Abby and Ann Landers were twin sisters, identical twins.
How lazy, though, were the parents? Because, like, look, this is Esther Pauline and Pauline Esther, right? That is... which is like, man, you have to work on the Epi and Popo. Like, those were key nicknames to have, I guess, because that's really confusing fundamentally. I think that is like, look, we have 2 names that we like, but we're only going to order them.
I mean, I could be wrong about this. I think legally, if you have twins, the names have to be very similar. They don't have to be reversed. They can be rhyming. They can be alliterative. But you can't give them like wild. You can't be like, this is Joe and Brandothan. Like, they have to have at least similar sizes, lengths. They have to be something like that.
I think any pairing works. I think it's there is no bad twin name. I think try one. I think it's either going to be like a slant rhyme, or it's going to be like wildly contrasting in a way that's humorous, and everyone will love it.
Okay, that's
Can
true.
I tell you
Yeah.
a funny thing? I was performing in Winnipeg last year, Canada, the center geographically of North America. Not important to this story, but a fun
But the center
fact.
of comedy as well.
Haha, thank you. I think so. At this weekend it was. There was one night I was performing, and there were it was like maybe a bridal party or something, like a bachelor. There was like a bunch of humans of various genders out to celebrate an impending wedding. And so there was like a family there, and I like asked one person's name and found it to be Raiden. And then I found out that Raiden's brother was there, and Raiden's brother's name was Jaden.
Yes.
And then I found out that they're older, that they had a final one, and it was, I don't remember, but it was something like Jerry.
So here's
so
the thing.
you can do a rule of 3s for sure if you have triplets.
When you said Raiden, I was like, oh my god, is the brother's name like Sub-Zero
Liu Kang?
or like Scorpion? Yeah, Scorpion. I was really hoping. So I'm disappointed there.
I'm disappointed as well.
But that is how I will tell the joke in the future. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, can you think of 2 other identical twins who are like became more powerful? Like, what a crazy 2 goats of this specific industry, combined 200 million circulation. Like, what a crazy thing that they just birthed 2 identical advice givers.
I mean, well, so they won. They did both. It looks like they both got their jobs through like being kick-ass writers. So
Yes,
like the way Epi got her job was like basically there was a, I don't know, kind of like a post-death Highlander type situation where it's like there's a contest to take over Ruth Crowley's position as Ann Landers, and she won that contest. And so I guess it's just like in the household, there's maybe just dope writers, and like the maybe in a like a Bronte sisters kind of situation, right? Where
They did. Oh yeah, this is like the Brontes of advice for sure.
Yeah.
They did write together a gossip column in college for their college newspaper, which I think is awesome. And they were married in a double wedding right after college, which I also think is amazing.
Was there a fifth wheel there?
Unfortunately, well, I don't know that, but I can say, unfortunately, after they both had their columns, it did become quite a point of contention. They were like famously at odds with each other. At one point, I believe it was Dear Abby, but their hometown, their small Iowa hometown newspaper, she said could only carry her column if it refused to carry her sister's column, which is vicious.
I would advise against.
Yeah,
It's tough when your parents accidentally set up a real good A/B test. You know, like that's a hard one to get around.
It's brutal. Yeah,
A Dear A/B test. If I may,
I love that you were like so ready to say something else. You're like, I have to get this out or it'll hurt. You say that, and then you start your point.
I have a point to make, but I have no control over what just happened. I did just Google briefly most famous twins.
Oh,
and,
yes.
Like, I don't think any. Here's what happened. I'm like, are any of them going to be? Because I couldn't think of any set of twins that got into the same line of work independently. Like
Right.
the most famous twins in the world, according to this Googling, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Oh, that's true. They were in the same job, but they were playing the same character. They were very focused on the same job.
Very different than Dear Abby and Ann Landers. But then the next 9, I've heard of none of them.
Whoa!
Oh, wait, we have Mark and Scott Kelly, the astronauts.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Perfect A/B test. Literally, NASA used them as A/B tests. So that's cool.
Wow.
Did you guys know that they did the thing where like one of them went to space for like a year and the other one stayed on Earth, and they did all the same tests for a year, and then when they came back, they compared to see like what effect space has on you. It was really cool. Yeah,
Is it a good effect? Is it like?
Not great. Turns out,
bad?
yeah,
Space is
one
bad
of
for
those
us?
Kelly brothers is now 80 years older than the other one. It's really weird. Time dilation. It's a messy.
That's a rough
Now,
one.
I don't think that that's the exact number based on my limited knowledge of physics.
It might be
but
like 3 seconds. It's hard to tell.
It's fun. I do want to also add on another, one page down Googling the first most famous twins in history, Jacob and Esau.
Oh, sure.
From Bible.
Yeah,
From Bible.
from Bible.
Yeah.
Very large
from Bible.
circulation, though. Bible.
That was a little contentious too. Yeah.
Yeah, also contentious. One early Dear Abby question I found was, which is better, to go to a school dance with a creep or to sit at home all shook up? Dear Shook, go with the creep and look over the crop. Not good advice, but like rhythmically very sound.
Yeah.
A nice
Feels real
poem for sure.
Yeah, a nice poem about a way to have a very bad night going to a dance with a creep.
It really depends. I think this goes back to the same topic that I love so much, me, and my linguistics knowledge, or, in my schooling. It really depends on your definition of creep. Like, was at the time, did a creep just mean like, a guy who you didn't like because... Some people will be like, oh, he's just... I'm not attracted to him, but
Right.
otherwise he's neutral. What a creep. But, obviously in today's parlance, creep could be anywhere, could be commit sexual assault.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. The definition of creep may have had some mission creep over the years.
What?
I do feel like all those like 1950s teen bop movies, like they couldn't say any bad words, so it was just like, oh, that person's a creep, was like as harsh as they could possibly get, and that was just
he gives me the
umbrella term.
heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of things I want to do. So really quick, just cut to the end of the timeline. 5 billion years from now, this sun is going to pulse, explode, and become a white dwarf. Okay, now I want to play a quick game, which because we're further. I was hoping it was going to be a half hour ago when I introduced the game, but here's this idea. I had this idea for a game show years ago called The Second Opinion, where we would take advice questions written to other columns, and then I would make a group panel of comedians answer those questions, and I will give you points based on how good your answer is, how bad your answer is. So you get points either direction. The one thing that doesn't work is being in the middle. And also bonus points if you're close to the original column's actual advice. Ooh. And I have not play tested this at all, so I have no idea if this works as a game. I'd been thinking about this for a long time. This seemed like the perfect opportunity to trot out my old notes and see if this is a game. And here's how I'm going to add some stakes to this, which is after I ask all these questions for you guys, you score some points. There will be a winner. And the prize is that the winner of these 3 rounds becomes the Royal Vizier, which means I'm going to ask you a real advice question from my real life, and I will follow advice you give for the next week.
Some stakes. I like this.
So you are going to actually control something that I do, and I will check in with everybody on the podcast next week and tell you how it went. So that is the game. That is the game.
I want to win this so much.
The second opinion.
I've never wanted anything more than to win this.
And I didn't bother to get ahead of time a theme song, so I'm going to pick randomly from this tune board here that I have from our recording device. So let's play The Second Opinion. No, it's not that good. All right, we'll try one more time.
That was deeply disappointing.
Let's play The Second Opinion. That's better.
Slightly better.
Second
wrong.
opinion.
Yeah. All right.
We're gonna be giving them, second opinion, because there was a first. Hope our advice isn't the worst. Second opinion. I want to win, but Ezra wants it more.
All right. That was with an improvised rap opening song.
Myq has to get 1 point for that. Myq has to get 1 point. There's no question that's not 1 point.
All right. Bonus point for rapping. Well, Myq is out to an early lead, 1-0. Okay. So I'm going to give each of you one question, so you can riff on each other's thoughts after they say theirs, but you each get your own question, and that's the one you're going to answer. So I have chosen at random here, and the first person answering a question will be Ezra.
Oh,
Ezra, you're up first in round 1. So round 1, question 1.
I'm ready.
My father had a dog which he kept a great many years, in which time I had 2 brothers and 1 sister that died. Anyway, now it seems this dog is prophetic. What to call it? Knowledge of these matters as your answer.
Therapy. I feel like you really need some therapy. I don't know what century this writer is in, but this is a lot.
Look, I do know what century. 1690?
Oh, so they're dead. So how is this going to help them, Alex? Are they immortal also? Is that what they're thinking? They're waiting for the dog to come for them?
Can you imagine if you prescribed therapy in 1691? They'd be like, oh, thank you. What a great help. And then they're just being bled by leeches.
I mean, that's like a spot treatment. I think they would feel better.
Okay. So your answer is leeches.
Well, whatever the best therapy you have at the moment. Sometimes you go to therapy with the leeches you have, not the leeches you want. So,
very, very good. All right, Ezra, 2 points. Myq,
may
thoughts?
I ask? Here's what I would say if I received that question.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to ask questions like, has your dog ever done this at other times when there were no deaths the next day? Because I think there might be some bias, some heuristic
I think the
situation.
subtext of your answer, though, is that this guy is lying about his prophetic dog, and I don't.
I'm just asking questions.
Maybe the dog does that every time the neighbor's cooking chicken or something.
The chicken is killing people.
Yes, the chicken is poison. Every time the
I think
neighbor's
we've gotten to the bottom
poison.
of this.
Yeah.
This is the chicken cluster. We all knew about this.
There's
all right, Amanda, you are second. Question number 2. You have no idea what this could possibly be.
No idea.
We've been married for 10 years, and I have 2 sons, and I like auto racing. But my wife has no interest in it. Anyway, I want to leave her for this lady who also likes auto racing. What is your answer to this question?
My advice is that your wife can do better, get divorced, and give her all of your money. Like, your kids are going to be happier without
I
you.
love this.
You're only interested in auto racing, Dad. Get out of their lives.
I love that. The advice is that you're the asshole and you should leave to help the other person. I think that's exactly right. This guy's wife deserves better. She deserves a husband who doesn't care about cars. So 4 points for Amanda's answer. Myq, question 3 is for you. Which is better, to go to school, dance the creep, or to sit at home alone?
I have 2 answers. My first is go with the creep and check out the crop.
Yes, good answer.
And my second answer is, I would say, do you have any friends who also might not have dates or might have only the same option of go with the creep or sit home alone, and go with your friends, and so you won't be going with creeps, you'll be going with the cream of the crop of friendship already.
All right,
wait.
we got cream in there.
Hold on. Can you also go maybe to Radiohead and maybe have them perform Creep, and then maybe follow up with Cream as well?
Or TLC, or Stone Temple Pilots.
A lot of people wrote about different kinds of creeping. Myq, 2 points for the good answer, and I'll give you a bonus point because one of your answers was very close to the original advice given.
Thank you.
All right, round 2, different themed round this time. Questions you have not actually seen yet. So round 2, question 1. We're gonna go in reverse order. So this question's gonna go to Myq. Myq. Originally, this was asked to Dear Prudence. Dear Second Opinion, I'm a happily married woman, and I've known my best friend since childhood. We tell each other pretty much everything. The other night, I had a vivid sex dream about her. This has never happened before, and I woke up disoriented and uncomfortable. Not only was I sleeping with my husband, but historically, I've never been attracted to my best friend. This has not changed since the dream. She's one of my favorite people ever, but no thanks. Do you think this means anything, and should I try to talk to them about it? Myq, tell your friend about a sex dream?
I would say, since it hasn't changed your feelings, you're not desiring a change in the dynamic of your marriage or your friendship, I would say that you're not in control of what you dream, and that I actually went to a dream interpretation workshop in grad school where I learned valuable things, including like not everything in dreams means something, and they can mean things if you find meaning in them. Like and it's dependent on you. Like if your dad is a truck driver and you dream about a truck, then that means something different than if you have no connection to trucks in your life and you dream about a truck.
If I wake up and my sexual attraction to trucks has not changed,
then you don't have to
ever.
Yeah, just head on down to the auto race.
I know someone.
I can't believe that even at the dream interpretation workshop, they said what most people would say, which is some dreams don't mean shit.
I mean,
Sometimes a pipe is just a pipe.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say like that. My favorite thing for these kinds of things with friends is like I like to ask the hypothetical where it's like, hey, would you be the kind of person who'd like to know if I had a vivid sex dream about you? And if they say no, then no problem. You can just leave it there.
Now, here's real quick, based on what Ezra has said, I think that that's good advice for everyone except this letter writer right now. Like, feel free in your life now to go to your friends, if that hasn't happened, and be like, look, I read this advice column letter, and so this is not based in my own life. I just want to get,
You're
get
doing
this information.
preemptive permission. Yeah.
And so for this letter writer, I would say sincerely, my advice would be you can tell them, but you definitely don't have to. In the binary, does it mean anything? If you think it doesn't, then it doesn't, and you're saying that it hasn't changed your feelings for either of the parties. You love your husband, you love your friend as a friend, and I think that it could potentially make things weird in both relationships. And then I guess I would say it depends on the relationship. Yeah. So you don't have to, but based on the relationships, you can, but you absolutely don't need to.
I would just add that you shouldn't, and the reason is you should never tell anybody about your dreams. They don't care.
Agreed. Strong agreed. They're so boring.
It's so boring.
Other people's dreams are so boring. I don't care if it was a hot sex dream
in the first person, good dreams are very interesting. In the second person, not at all. The dream is a thing you made up while you weren't even paying attention. Like, why is that interesting to me?
I agree with you in general. I do think that for some people, there is a corollary, an exception, that people sometimes do like hearing dreams about them.
So now it's back into the first person. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's a good point. So I want to hear about a sexy dream you had about me because I want to know if I was any good.
Yes, that's what some people feel.
All right. I'm going to give you 2 points for a good answer there, bringing your total up to 5. Number 2, Amanda. Question 2 goes to you. This was originally sent to Beast Mode. Dear Second Opinion, my husband and I have a cat and a dog who are best friends. Recently, the cat has begun waking my husband up by leaping onto his crotch around 5 a.m., often nailing a direct hit. The cat is a pretty large boy, and my husband wakes up yelling in great pain, which wakes up the dog, and no one gets back to sleep after this. We have no idea what is causing the cat to do this all of a sudden. We can't ban him from the bedroom. It is open to the apartment with no doors. How do we fix it?
I think your husband needs to start wearing a cup to bed because there's no training that cat to do anything.
That's what I was going to pitch.
You were going to pitch a cup also?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
My recommendation is a door. Get a door.
Well, there's no door.
I'm saying get a door. Move. Get in a place with a door. Build a door. Keep a cat. Get the cat somewhere else.
Have you ever had a cat? Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm
afraid? Yeah, you close the door, they're just going to scratch at the door, right? They're just going to want to get in all night.
Nothing can keep them from hurting your genitals. Like, it's just like, I have a cat. I love my cat. She's like a little missile just seeking and like, oh my God, that hurts so much. Why do you have to stand right there?
Is it like when there's foxes see like a mouse under the snow and they dive into it, they see something and they're like, I got to get in there.
You know,
that's very complimentary to the husband.
It looks great. You got to do
It's like a mouse under 20 feet of snow.
I would like to offer, I hear you, Amanda, and I just want to say that in my experience, cats are not a monolith, and that I think that cats are subject to sometimes, and I'm sure that there are cats that are, I believe in your experience with your cat and this writer's cat, and also my girlfriend's mom has 3 cats that are so sweet and like uncat-like compared to, I feel like cats are troped the same way that, wives were in the 50s. And so
I like this. Yeah.
And perhaps some of them, fulfill those expectations because, there's confirmation bias. You look for it, you see it. You see it when it's happening, but there are friendly, sweet cats out there that come when called, and it's
absolutely.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, this cat
so the
definitely...
The other option then is just yeet the cat the second that happens. Just like as soon as it lands, just hurl the cat off the bed. They need to learn that there's negative consequences to
At
this.
no point has this guy thought about being a stomach sleeper? Like, why are his nuts so exposed while he's unconscious? This seems scary, too. All right, I realized I didn't actually figure out what the original advice were, so I cannot give you bonus points for this round. That was only available for the first round. But I think I would not have thought of a cup, so I'm going to give 2 points for good advice on the cup. Sorry, that brings your total to 6. Ezra, question 3 from round 2, originally sent to The Crux. Dear Second Opinion, I just received what can only be called a chain letter. The Crux is a religious-themed advice column.
Okay.
Chain letter from a person I love. The promise is innocuous. Send a poem or an inspirational Bible verse to a person at the top of the list, and you'll receive many poems and inspirational verses in return. No one is promising any money, and no one is threatening any divine punishment if I don't participate. Still, I feel really funny sending this request to 20 friends and asking them to email a stranger. Is a chain letter of this kind ethical?
I really hate chain letters. Here's what I do. I would send it back to the person and just stop. Right? Like, so like, as in, like, you have, like, the person gets the thing back from you, but you don't have to send it on to anyone else.
Oh, so that person wants, presumably, to receive poems. So you send them a poem.
Give them a poem or inspirational Bible verse. And maybe, like, if you can find a Bible verse, it's like, hey, sometimes things end. Right? If they, maybe, like, to every season.
Ashes, dust to dust.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And there you go. And then that wraps it up.
Is it ethical? The question.
Yeah, I mean,
and also, are you chaining if it's only one out of the 20?
Well,
are you still participating a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you are both the link in the chain, but also you are ending the chain as well. So it's like you're not revisiting this chain generational trauma onto the next group, right? So it's like it ends with me. I think that's honorable.
I think that's solid.
Is there a Bible quote about chain letters? Like,
I mean, there should be something about
chain
Bible verse about inbox zero. Yeah.
Oh my God! What does the Bible say about chain letters?
Thank you. Yes. Tell me.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world.
Interesting.
Call the friend who sent it to you a demon worshiper
and a false prophet. Yeah, they can't get enough of that.
Are you from God? If not, no, never mind.
Now that I know, now I'm going to give you. I was going to give you 2 points for good advice, 3 points because of the Bible verse that is related to chain letters. Excellent googling, Ezra.
That was John 1 John 4:1, which is a thing.
Amanda's now leading 6-5. Amanda goes first in the third round. This one is listener questions, so these are not actually second opinion. These are first opinions because we solicited from our Patreons, patreon.com/BTE pod, if they had any questions. And we got 2 good questions, and I added one of my own because I had a bonus thing that I've already done, but I want your opinion on, so I can't make it the Royal Vizier. Question 1 for Amanda. Dear second opinion, I live in a small apartment building of 6 units. We each have an assigned parking space in the small 6-space lot. Yesterday, somebody parked in my spot for most of the day. This could be from anybody. They parked in my spot. How do you not know? They're numbered. There's nobody. It's not like, oh, I wonder if these are open spots. This is the same spot forever.
Rude.
While I'm not sure of which unit the car belongs to, I think I've seen the car in other spots before, but I'm not positive. Anyway, what do I do? Or sub-question, what do I write on the note that comes next to the tire gouging?
Well, first, are there any cameras on these parking spots?
Negative. No cameras.
Okay, go ahead with the tire gouging. Amazing. I also recommend stealing the air caps off of their tires.
Oh, that's a good small petty thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'll slowly leak over time.
Yeah.
And it'll be really annoying for them. So that's
a better idea than the slashing, because I mentioned the slashing. My wife suggested that would actually make it harder for them to get out of our spot,
true.
Which is a good point.
That's true. Yeah, if you just take the air caps, they'll be able to get out of your way.
Okay. What do I write on a note?
Do you put a note on the car, or do you create a sign for your parking spot that's
I think you do a chain letter. I think you say,
"Oh yeah,
hey, please send this to all of your friends to tell them not to park in my spot."
But if you're going to do a note, it obviously needs to be in Comic Sans to be as annoying as possible. And I think a note is passive aggressive to begin with, so just lean into it and be like, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but this is actually my parking spot that I pay for. I don't know how you can convey that tone in a note entirely.
Yeah. Well, Comic Sans helps.
As condescending as possible, and just have you been to an eye doctor recently? I'm concerned about your vision.
There's a really good eye doctor down the street. Here's what I would do.
Here's a recommendation. Yeah.
Sincere question. Since there's only 6 apartments and one of them is yours, could you not knock on 5 doors?
Oh my God, I'd rather die.
I would rather, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather never park here again. I hate
that's
talking
great
to people.
advice column advice. It will never happen in real life.
No one's going to confront it.
We can limit it. So there's 5 apartments. We do know our next door neighbors pretty well. We like them, and I know it's not them. So we're down to 4 apartments. And it's not the one. There was a very sweet old lady whose dog just died, and I don't think it's her. But if it was, I don't want to bother her. She's having a tough time. So the other 3 I do not know and would rather die than ask.
Here's what I would do. Honestly, I would say I would get a $5 Starbucks gift card and be like, hey, I bet you'd only park. I figure you only park in the spot. Hey, this is my spot. I bet you only park in there because you really needed it. I hope you have a good day. And that is so much more confusing for someone.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
They would be I don't know. I guess oh God, I have to rethink some life choices. And that'll haunt them.
That's 3-dimensional passive aggressive. I am impressed by that.
We did have a thing years ago where we had a neighbor that was very loud downstairs, and when we asked them to turn down their music or their video games, they didn't, or they said they did, but then it was still really loud. And so the second time we did bring cookies because somebody had mentioned that in an advice section somewhere, and they were extremely confused about it. More than oh, they're so sweet, they feel guilty, let's fix it. They were like, but why are there cookies? They were so weirded out by it, and then they moved. Okay, it worked.
That's also a little menacing because what's in the cookies?
You know where you live.
No, great question. We didn't make cookies. We bought cookies so they would still be sealed, so they wouldn't worry they were poisoned. We put too much time into this.
Don't worry, Amanda, they're not poison. Here you go.
Amanda, so I think 2 points, solid advice. Bonus point because it is similar to what my wife eventually took over the job of writing the note and did. Very similar to her note. I just wanted to write WTF in big letters and just put that. That was my whole plan for a note because I feel like they have to know. Her theory is maybe it's one of the neighbor's guests and they were just mistaken about the spot. So
That's
her
what
note was more like, hey, these are assigned. This is ours. If you're confused about which one is yours, here's our landlord's phone number. You can text and ask, which is deeply passive aggressive, and I liked it a lot. All right, Mike, you are second in round 3. Question number 2 from a listener. Dear second opinion, my mother-in-law, frankly super nice to me, but can be overbearing, wants to fly to help when my wife has a problem, and it will help nothing. What do I do? Looking forward to the episode. As always, best assistant regional manager, Sean. Myq, overbearing mother-in-law, wants to fly to help, might be more of a burden than a help in this case.
So it's the mother-in-law.
Yes.
And the person writing. So it's the person is married to a person.
Yes.
And that person's mother wants to come help.
Yes.
End of advice.
So my advice to the person writing is ask your partner how you can support them, because it's not your mother, it's not your problem, it's her issue. So this is a thing that often comes up in advice columns, where people are like multiple degrees removed from the actual action that needs to take place. Like, this is your wife's issue. This is your partner's issue. And your role is to help her, is to support her, and is to say things like, hey, how can I help? Like, is there, like, truly, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop her mother from coming if she wants her mother to come? If she, like, there's so many family dynamics going on. Like, that, great news, this is, in some ways, not your circus, not your monkeys, you know?
Yeah.
This is, like, I can understand that it's going to impact you, and you can let her know, like, when she's visited in the past, like, afterwards, if she's complained and been like, please help me stop her from coming, then there you go. But if it's just she wants to come, like, it's your wife's role to say, yes, she can come, or no, she can't come, and it's your role to say, what can I offer you?
This is very good advice, Myq. Very genuine, and I agree. I think that's really solid. And I wouldn't have thought of it that way. I'm going to give you 3 points for that very good answer. Question 3 goes to Ezra. Final question. Dear Second Opinion, while at work, I frequently hear the sound of my coworker in the next cubicle clipping their nails. I haven't actually seen them doing it, but the sound is enough to make me shudder. Why would you do that at work? How can I get him to stop? And I believe Amanda also shuddered. Very strong shudder hearing about it. You know the sound. I know the sound too. The clip, and then and also I know if they go flying. You can't control that. Why would you do that?
I hope these are fingernails, because I don't know if it feels worse.
Okay, yeah.
I think that, why would you do that? I mean, why would you do that work? Well, we're busy, you know. Hopefully this. I get it. Sometimes you have sometimes I have to like leave like my nail clipper in my pocket because I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to do this. But I don't do this. Wait. Oh, I think I know this. I think I work next to this person. I see the issue here. No, I would say the how do I get him to stop? I think the kind of real core of this would be like, what is the power dynamic in this relationship? If we're friends, right, then it's like, hey, I usually try to say, like, I know it's isn't it wild that, like, we're so stressed we don't have much time to do everything we need to do, like, that it feels like the only time we have to clip your nails is actually at work. Isn't that crazy? But it's really, not what this is actually for fundamentally, and it's really tough for me.
Are you saying this is in a face-to-face? This is an email? This is a passive-aggressive note?
I like to maybe bring a Starbucks gift card as well, if possible.
Anonymous note. Chain letter.
This is, as your life, like, I'm against confrontation. Yours seems more expensive. That every confrontation costs you $5.
If you think about how much you ruminate on these problems when you're stewing on them, $5 is not much to make it go away, right? If you're like, you know what, I feel like I can say whatever I want as long as I'm giving you $5 worth of coffee in a direct way, but very friendly.
I don't want to do that. I would love an email that was like, or maybe a note, because it has to be anonymous. So anonymous note that's just like, hey, we have cameras, we can see you clipping your nails. And then now he's got to go deal with tech being like, where are the cameras? Why are they spying on me? Like, they got all kinds of worries, yeah. Get him off my back.
We could also just show, maybe there's like an office screen of Gattaca where it's like, hey, watch out, they will test all of your genetic material to see if you're a borrowed ladder or not. And that's the real issue.
Ezra, I gotta say, this Starbucks thing is getting out of hand. Too expensive. I'm only giving you 1 point, which means after 3 rounds, Amanda is the winner today of the Second Opinion. Amanda is the inaugural Second Opinion winner, which means you get to be my royal vizier.
Do I get a crown? Or a badge?
Yeah, you get a crown and a badge. Both of them, for sure. I'll send you some gifts of crowns and badges later. Here is my question. As my royal vizier, for the next week, I need your help. I need help saving money. What am I going to do to save money for the next week?
Just for the next week.
Just for a week. I need to save money. Well, you can say in general, and then I'll just do a week test run of it. But ongoing.
Fewer
How do I have
Starbucks gift
fun?
cards for controversies.
Yeah, now you can see why maybe I didn't like that advice as much if I need to spend money on my notes.
So the boomer advice would be, no more Starbucks gift cards and no spending money at Starbucks. Good advice would be, avoid social media. I feel like that's what causes a lot of people to spend a lot of money. You're like, oh, that thing is cool. I want that thing.
Okay.
And then you're spending money. There's all different approaches.
So a complete social media ban for the next 7 days.
Oh man, that's gonna be real tough, right?
I forgot you're actually going to take this advice.
I am going to take this advice, and I do sort of make a living on social media right now, so it's a little questionable. We'll see what I can do.
Well, it's save money, not make money, is the issue, right? So
you got to save money to make money. They always say it.
No fun social media.
No funds. I love that. That's even better.
No fun social media. You can't just be like, no, I'm going to go scroll on Instagram and
no fun scrolling.
No scrolling. I love it.
Not that.
A brief interlude, if I may, to offer. Try turning off the lights frequently, and if it doesn't work, then you're in a dream.
Absolutely.
Oh, so I can save power by turning off the lights / know if I'm asleep.
Yeah,
Also,
that's a good combo.
Keep trying the jumping, because if you can fly, that's going to save you a lot of money on transportation.
Just try to fly. Got it.
I want all of your meals. No, it probably won't work. Okay, but there's an app called Too Good To Go where you get to pick up meals from restaurants before they go bad.
Wow.
If you try to have multiple Too Good To Go meals and just to see what you get from there, that's like a major source of the calories.
I mean, is it cheaper than if I just cooked at home?
I mean, it depends if you're making the same thing. Like I got 2 dozen donuts for $3, so that's definitely cheaper than
how many donuts do I need? I guess I didn't say also I want to lose weight. That's a double. That would be a different week. But
I don't
$3
really
worth of donut calories.
You can sell the donuts then, Alex.
Oh, that's true. Try to flip the donuts. $3.50 on Facebook Marketplace.
Start a new app. You have a new app called
Three
Too
Good,
Fast,
Three Go.
Too Furious, Too Good To Go. Yeah. The sequel. And then you just sell them those donuts that you got for $3 for $4 somehow.
Yeah. And then I on social media I've got a series of videos called "Flip Those Donuts."
Oh, you can't post to social media though.
Right.
Not this week.
But make sure you have a spouse that lets you Bitcoin, and then you put it all in there.
Well, that is a good way to save that money. I don't have it anymore. It's saved somewhere. All right, Amanda. Anything else? Because you've been taken over a little bit, but
No, I think this is amazing advice.
I'm not going to buy anything off social media. I'm going to try to fly, and I might try Too Good To Go this week, which
absolutely,
it's great advice. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for playing the inaugural round of the Second Opinion.
It was great.
I appreciate it. I'm going to cut a couple of segments for time, so we have to do one thing really fast, and then we're going to go. So let's rank advice columns on the master list. Ezra, please read for our guests at home. What are the master list of the 14 best things of all time?
Okay, from bottom to top. We got Waffle House at 14. Then playing Halo with the boys, cat videos, powerlifting. 10 with a bullet is stand-up comedy. We got NordicTrack, Fresh Bread, The Sun, Trees, romance novels, pro wrestling, My Neighbor Totoro. Number 2 is Firefighters. And number 1 is renamed again, Coffee/Tea, parentheses, hot.
I feel personally attacked by the hot.
Wait, why? So why is that? Is that because you like iced coffee, iced tea?
Yes, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm not straight. Of course, I drink iced coffee.
I didn't know that was the thing now.
I also didn't know that.
Wow, this is I haven't been to that.
You're being very biased against gay women. I'm just saying, it's really offensive.
Yeah, there's a whole stand. I don't know if you go into a Target right now. There's a whole separate table in the Pride section of just iced tea.
Well, then I would say, based on this, to be an ally for the impending Pride Month, that we should take warm beverages down a notch and put advice columns number 1.
Number one. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Mike's going to take a reach for number 1. Is there anything, Mike, on this list that you find in the most wrong position?
I mean, I do love trees and would not be alive without the sun. And to me, stand-up comedy is I understand that it's not the same thing that it is to me, to everyone. So I would say, like, I love stand-up comedy, and if I were making the list, it would be further up for sure.
Yeah.
And powerlifting would surely be below cat videos. Cat videos,
It's been a weird couple of weeks, you guys. I can't tell you.
If I may, let me see. What's number 14? I can't see it in the
Waffle
configuration.
House.
Oh, yeah.
That
Waffle
got
House is
dumpstered
in a...
accidentally. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fine. So Waffle House and playing Halo is fine. I would move powerlifting down. I would move pro wrestling down.
Yeah.
I would move... I don't care that much about Fresh Bread or NordicTrack down. Romance novels... fine, but I would move down. Pro wrestling down. I don't know. I don't have a neighbor, Totoro, so I would move that down. I would leave. Trees. Here's my tops. And it don't have to be in any particular order, but trees, the sun, firefighters, and warm beverages can be up there. But advice columns number 1.
Amanda, where would you put advice columns?
Advice columns I put solidly in the middle. I think, even...
Above or below the sun, which is
better
the
than
center
pro
point.
wrestling, are they not?
So just a quick explanation is that there's a lot of politics available on this list, you can see. And Anthony is not here to defend pro wrestling, but this is a lot of how much we like Anthony, not how much we like pro wrestling.
Thank God, because pro wrestling is terrible. But
It's not my
Anthony's
thing.
great. So
Yes.
the sun, I mean, sure, it's why we're all alive, but also sunburns and sweating, and that sucks.
Agreed.
So I think advice columns are absolutely better than the sun, definitely.
Ezra, what do you think?
I mean, I have a lot of good history, I think, with advice columns. I think we answered, like, there'd be, like, carpool times when I was in middle school where my mom would, like, be challenging us with advice column questions. Basically, we all would, like, kind of answer. Yeah, I think a notch above the sun is fine for me. Like,
I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, trees, I think, are... Without trees, there would not have been the first advice columns.
Yeah,
Though
Sure, a lot of them were
That's true.
printed.
There
So
also
true.
would not have been romance novels. So it's kind of a wacky situation we find ourselves in. But
It
yeah.
is. The thing about the sun does provide life, but I think in general, from the people we've had on the show, most people seem okay if the Earth had never existed. Like, people are not that attached to existence, so I think that's why. And the downsides of the sun are myriad.
I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. You know, what the hell am I doing here? Enjoying
number
life
7.
on Earth while I have it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to do... Normally, we'd have more time to argue about this, Myq. I'm sorry it's not higher for you, but I think we're going to have to give it 7 because we have to get going.
I'm fine. I like trees. I'm fine for trees and advice columns to be in this together.
Excellent. Well, advice columns are the new 7, just beating out the sun. All right, let's get out. Come back to that email next week. All right, that is it for our show. Our theme music is by @Metrix. Our logo design is by @Tom Typography. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter if you still believe in that, @BTE Pod. And you can watch along and see all these great visuals and see our faces on YouTube @Alex Falcone. You can leave us an honest 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And you can email us if you have any advice questions you'd like answered. Mail @bestthingeverpodcast.com. Can't tell you if we'll play this game again, but we might. Our producers are Ranger Patrick, John the Consigliere, the Duke of Jill, Best Assistant Regional Manager Sean, and Claire TBD. Anthony and Hunter, I think, will both be back next week. You can find me on TikTok, if you're not in Montana, @Alex_Falcone. And Ezra, you can find on Substack, deletethis_newsletter.substack.com. And the fun fact from the day, I have appeared on 2 Jumbotrons. Ezra does not brush his teeth 6 times a day. I made that up
normal
without asking
2 times
him.
a day, nothing weird. Just
2
the
times
regular
is-
mouth stuff that would happen with
more
your
than you need.
dental hygiene.
And the normal number of teeth. Good job.
Yes, pretty much. Although, wait, I did actually find a new one at one point. This is real.
What?
That was really weird. Yeah.
Where?
In my mouth.
Growing out.
That's a good start. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no. So it was like at one point with the kids, they were like, I have. Like kids were like, I have 20 teeth, and I was like, okay, let me count mine. And there was an extra one, which is the weirdest thing. It was
Like an odd number?
Yes. So it was basically a wisdom tooth that they never thought was going to come down, that actually did make its way down. That I found when I counted my teeth with my tongue, and so I have like an extra kind of like little like bonus like wisdom tooth that was never supposed to come down, but did, and it had space for it. So yeah,
Amazing. That's a crazy mouth you got. You might want to brush that one extra times just to keep up.
it does get some good brushing. Yeah.
Amanda Leinbaugh, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It is always so much fun to talk to you.
Thank
Amanda
you.
Bowl.
Always great.
on the Bird app. And then Myq, live from the universe, is on a Dry Bar Plus, which is, in case you guys don't know, is a comedy platform and a hair drying salon. Very different levels of prestige depending on which one you're performing in. You were on the comedy one, which is harder to get.
That's right, and people can subscribe to it if you go on their website, drybarcomedy.com, I believe. And if you get a monthly subscription, you'll get a free month if you use my name as the promo code, MYQ-KAPLAN, and I appreciate it.
And you also have numerous specials, audio specials on Spotify that you can listen to now as well. If you have that, MyqKaplan.com to find all of the information. And at Myq Kaplan, very intelligently added a Y to his name so that he would have all the social media first. No one was ever going to take Myq Kaplan with a Y. So, or the Q. I guess the Q is actually probably more hard.
Yeah, I think
to
that's the issue. Yeah,
the specialty.
And I did it earlier. I did it when Prince changed his name to a symbol when I was a teenager in the 90s, and I was like, that guy's weird, I'll be weird. So, yeah, MYQ Kaplan across all socials. I also have a Substack, MyqKaplan.substack.com. And, and put my name in anywhere, and you'll find things from it.
You'll find it, because he's got a unique name. You can also try to type his unpronounceable symbol. It's a little harder, but if you get it, you'll find him there as well. Myq.
Way easier than Prince. Thank you.
So much fun to talk to you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks as always.
We will talk to everybody next week. Goodbye.
Bye.